Have you fallen into an open manhole recently? Do you find yourself in the company of strangers? Well, then you might very well be in the feature Underground. Because I said so, my name is Hunter Lanier, and I'm here today with a review of the latest franchise reboot, The Naked Gun, starring Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, and directed by Akiva Schaffer, who, if you don't know, he's one of the Lonely Island guys. It's always sort of difficult to review a comedy because you can go on, but ultimately it comes down to the very simple question of, is it funny? And if it is funny, you can't exactly explain why, because you'd be both spoiling the jokes and probably not doing them justice. So with that said, I'm just going to say that I found The Naked Gun to be very funny. It's the sort of movie that I think you'll probably start watching it with a straight face, and then at some point, not quite on the movie's frequency yet, and then at some point, a joke will break the seal, and you won't be able to stop giggling from there on out. For me, the seal broke at a Kaiser Soze moment, and I'll just leave it at that. Much has been made about this movie being a so-called return of the comedy, which obviously is an exaggeration, but it is true that The Naked Gun is more than just a return to the Naked Gun franchise. It's a return to joke-based comedies, which I don't think we've seen in a long time. We've been conditioned to situational comedies, grounded stories with regular people in comedic situations. But The Naked Gun, like the Zucker movies before it, is almost entirely based on written jokes, all of which exist under this umbrella of a satire of a procedural cop drama. There's dialogue in this movie that wouldn't feel out of place in a Mitch Hedberg routine, for example. Unlike most modern comedies in which the next day at work you might be saying, hey, I loved that moment when this happened, this movie you might actually find yourself quoting the lines. What's more, it exists purely in its own cartoon reality and never breaks character to be sincere or try to be something it's not, which is very important for the movie working. And maybe even more importantly, it's not afraid to be very, very stupid. But it's not stupid. It's a premeditated kind of stupid that only a smart person could pull off. There's some kind of comedy horseshoe theory here that I don't quite have the energy at the moment to parse out. Since Happy Gilmore 2 just released on Netflix, and Adam Sandler's movies are known for being stupid, and that's why people like them, I did want to draw a comparison here in the favor of The Naked Gun. Now, I haven't seen Happy Gilmore 2, but from what I've heard, it's very much in the same vein as Adam Sandler's other straight-to-Netflix comedies. Now, the particular brand of stupid that these movies are, it's basically just invite a bunch of celebrities in front of the camera, get into some wild situations, have a good time, invite the audience in their home to watch you have a good time and have a good time with you. Now, maybe you like these movies, maybe you don't, but they're really just more about being very light and easy to watch, more so than being comedies. If you read the screenplay to any of those Adam Sandler movies on Netflix, I haven't read them, but if you did, I would imagine that they don't read very well on the page. The Naked Gun, however, I think you could read the screenplay and it would still largely work. Speaking of celebrities, I do want to also very happily report that The Naked Gun does not fall into the beloved reboot trap of stuffing the movie with celebrity cameos as cheap audience pops. I'm still sore at season 4 of Arrested Development for pulling that. Since I do mention also at the beginning of this review that the film is directed by a member of Lonely Island, if there are any fears out there that the film feels less like a Zucker film and more like a modern SNL skit, don't worry, it does not. Liam Neeson, if you haven't figured it out already, is great casting, aside from his name sounding weirdly like Leslie Nielsen. The key to that character is just that he doesn't think he's in a comedy and is dead serious about everything, and Liam Neeson gets that. There is also a set piece in this movie that takes place at a generically branded UFC event. And I wanted to use that as a jumping off place to talk about the proliferation of the UFC in culture right now. I'm interested in this because even though I own a collection of John Donne poetry and have recently rated Ugetsu 5 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd like a properly sensitive young man, I am a big fan of combat sports. And the dominant provider of combat sports at the moment is the UFC, which means I watch the UFC every single weekend, almost. In the 80s, this set piece probably would have taken place at a football game. But now, not only is it set at an MMA event, but the film actually hires the UFC's real announcer, the UFC's real play-by-play guys, and real UFC fighters to be in the movie. In the new Superman movie, Superman performs an armbar on somebody. In Ballerina, which came out earlier this year, which I also did not review, but I really liked, there's tons of MMA fighting in that movie and MMA training. There's also an armbar in the new Mission Impossible movie. A24 and the great Benny Safdie has a new movie coming out this year called The Smashing Machine, which is about Mark Kerr, who was a UFC fighter. There was that Roadhouse reboot last year or the year before, which not only turned the main character into a former UFC fighter, but also starred Conor McGregor. I bring this all up not only to talk about how the UFC and MMA more broadly seems to have finally broken into the mainstream, but more interesting to me is how it's affected the popularity of MMA has affected fight choreography in movies. Does it make sense that Superman would need to leverage biomechanics to hurt someone's arm? No, it doesn't. He could probably just give it a little tug. But as someone who is interested in watching movies and interested in watching MMA, it is fun to see these two worlds collide. Well, those are all my thoughts on The Naked Gun. Now is the time for you to let me know your thoughts on my thoughts. I do highly recommend this one if that's not already clear. Plus, it's only 85 minutes, so you're in, you're out. You have a post-movie meal, you go to bed early. It's a good time. Next up, I will be seeing Weapons next Tuesday, I believe. I think that is correct. I will have a review of that one up as soon as I can. Oh, and one other thing you may have noticed, I have a different audio set up for this video. Let me know if you hear a difference in the audio or if I've just wasted a ton of money. Until next time, I leave you with the comforting reminder that every day underground is a good day.